Sure. Live.
There we go. Here we are, week number 6. This week's discussion topic is, I just lost it. Hold on. This week's discussion topic is, so sorry, embarrassing. Okay, this week's lectures and readings focus public leadership and leadership in a crisis. Please discuss ways that you believe organizations can prepare leaders at all levels to respond in a crisis. So we're going to be talking about how leaders can prepare to respond in a crisis. This chat. Does anyone have any thoughts right off the bat? I have some.
Yeah, I mean, I could start here. Actually, I had a crisis that wouldn't happen at my own work at one point that I ended up having to go and be the one in charge of. We actually went and had a chemical spill at our lab. We had a drum that was brought in for us to be able to go and put our waste chemicals into, to be able to go and have a company the following day come pick it up and take it out for disposal. Well, they brought the wrong type of drum that we didn't know there was a difference. Otherwise, we would have, went and said, hey, you should have brought us something else. Well, the drum was faulty. So we left that night after filling it up, and they were supposed to be there the next morning. When we showed up, there was chemicals all over our lab floor.
Oh my gosh.
And the type of chemicals we're talking about is they're going to be like similar to like motor oil and that kind of stuff. And so it was horrible. And on top of that, we're in a kind of like a strip mall type thing that's for an industrial park. And it crept into the floors of our neighboring units. So we had to worry about cleaning up the neighbors' units too. So I had to take control of the situation. I saw it. I came in first thing in the morning. I'm like, there's a problem. All right. I first went and called my manager above me, let him know what was going on, called the people that are responsible to go and start getting things taken care of. And I just went through the list and made sure everything got handled correctly to get the appropriate people out there to come start fixing our problem. And the biggest thing that I go and I can honestly say with a crisis like that is just making sure to keep a level head, don't freak out, don't panic, and just think, this is my problem. This is how I got to fix it. This is what I got to do, and just do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're
what a
definitely
great example.
Yeah, definitely were able to make a decision right away under pressure too, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah, because when your neighbors start walking over next door saying, oh my God, this stuff is all the way over here, you have to go and be the peacemaker who goes and says, I know, we got it started. We're working on getting it taken care of. I promise I'll have someone out there and we'll get your carpets cleaned. We'll get everything taken care of. Just let me go and get the cleanup crew started out here, but we'll get you taken care of. I mean, that's the main thing. It's just the PR, making sure everybody is know that you actually haven't forgotten about them.
So I wanted to ask, in that situation, did you have the ability to divide? Because it sounds to me like you're going to have to be on the phone calling people that are actually going to fix the problem. And then you've also got people coming at you going, hey, are you aware of this? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, were you able to divide that, or did you have to juggle both sides, the PR and the solving?
I had to juggle it all because the only other person that was there is somebody who was not in charge. I mean, they're panicking, going, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And I'm just like, go sit over there. I will call people. I'll get everything taken care of. We will be fine.
I love it.
Pretty awesome. Yeah.
It sounds like since you're working with chemicals often, that you guys have a system prepared already. Since this is probably not the first time you guys have had a chemical spill. So do you guys have a process in place for what to do in this exact situation, or is this a random thing for you guys?
It was when we first started going and doing this, and so it was our first experience with it because it was the first time we actually had enough chemicals that we needed to dispose of. At this point, we have actually a containment system that the drum sits on. So if anything actually happened to the drum, it now would actually go and drain completely into this containment system that sits right underneath it. So we would never have that same issue again. you know, and we go and we keep track of it, and you know, have them come out in a timely fashion to remove it. We also have a different type of drum that is not capable of having these weak spots like the one they gave us before. And so we have all these different things that we put into play.
Mm-hmm. Now you guys know for the next time to use that containment system. I'm not sure. It's like a box or something that it sits on top of in case it leaks?
Yeah, it's there's a plastic grate. I would say it's probably about I don't know, about 6 inches tall, and it's probably about 5 foot long. And basically, it has a grating, like a really thick plastic grating that you then go and stick like a 55-gallon drum on top of. That you can go and fill it, and then of course, if something happens to the drum, it will drain in there.
Okay, interesting. When we think about crises, I guess, in organizations, I mean, I think the first step is that you have to look at all the potential crises. Is that crises that can happen? So now you guys have you guys are dealing with chemicals. I mean, at Starbucks, what our crisis be like? What kind of crisis would we prepare for?
I mean, I know there's a kit for dealing with like natural disasters and stuff like that. And everybody's trained on where that is, where you go to meet if you have to evacuate the store and that kind of thing. So
right. Like in the back of our store, like it says, in case of an emergency, like go to this location, which is like 2 blocks away from our store. It's like a Vons, like go to this Vons, meet here. And in case that's not an okay place to meet for whatever reason, like there's a second place for us to meet, you know, in case of a crisis. So it's definitely been in that sense thought out, like, okay, this is where you need to go, this is where you need to be, and this is like, you know, the second place that you need to go or need to be in case, you know, place 1 is not okay. But let's see, I think sorry, I lost my train of thought. Never mind.
Kim mentioned like we have I mean, I've seen it before where it's like a flip book where it's like in case of fire this, in case of earthquake this, and then we also have, in my store at least, the thing where it says like where to meet in case of a crisis, and we also have one that says make the right call. Maybe you guys have that.
Oh right, yeah.
Like if there's an issue, call me because I'm the store manager. If I'm not available, call the district manager. If it's something that's like all computers down, which is like a crisis for us, they know there's the number for them to call. So it's like whatever the problem is, you follow like, oh, okay, call this person next. So that's I think we're prepared, at least at Starbucks, for whenever we have a crisis, right?
Yeah. Luckily, I've never been at work when a crisis like that has happened, so I would like to think that I would be very calm and level-headed, but again, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's part of being prepared for a crisis. Yeah, like we all mentioned before, like you have to be calm. Like if there's an explosion or something, like don't freak out. They always tell you, like in school, like walk, don't run. So if there's like an immediate danger, walk out of the store, know what to do, meet at your meeting spot. So be prepared, know where to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
At my store, like 2 weeks ago, we actually had a system failure in the middle of our rush. And
had a power failure, you said? I'm sorry.
A system failure.
Oh.
So like our credit card, nothing was working pretty much. And mobiles wasn't working, and we could only take cash. And so and unfortunately I was working. And I think from my point of view, it was very stressful. But I think as far as being like the person in charge at the time, you kind of have to remain calm in order for your partners to remain calm, for them to be able to properly deliver customer service to the customers. It's very difficult.
Yeah, not fun, especially during rush. No, thank you. There's one part of the textbook that I was reading before the call, and it was about there was 2 airlines. I think it was Pan Am and some other one that it wasn't really big, but like both of there was Airline 1 and Airline 2, and they both had like a crash, or one of the airplanes crashed, but the first airline's like reputation didn't fall, where the second one fell horribly and their stocks fell, because the first one was more prepared. They had like the highest safety ratings, they had the highest customer satisfaction, versus the second one, they were like in the middle of like union disputes. They're in the middle of like having all these poor quality problems. So I think the point is, like, if you're gonna be prepared for a crisis, make sure you have everything like taken care of, like not like in the moment of the crisis, but like what led up to the crisis. Like for the mobile order going down, that's kind of hard to handle. Yeah. But like, say if there's a fire, like was there a fire in your store or Nicole's office because there was like stuff blocking the air vents? So you got to be prepared so that like when the crisis does happen, you can like easily repair, you can easily recover from it, and it's not like you had all your stuff as much prevent. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, that was the story I was trying to share. Whereas like the two airlines, one stock fell because up until that they were just doing horribly.
Did any of you guys take, I know we're all from different majors, which I think is really awesome, but did any of you guys take any project management classes at ASU?
I took one, yeah.
No,
there was one thing that we talked about in the project. I've taken 2 project management classes, and one thing we talked about in one of them, I don't remember which it was, but it was about doing a post-mortem on your project. And post-mortem, you know, it kind of like sounds like doing an autopsy or that kind of thing, but it's actually something you do to do risk assessment before you start a project. And basically you go into this post-mortem meeting or whatever with the idea of that your project has completely failed. And you try to think backwards of all the things that have could have possibly caused your project to fail. So the project manager takes a job across the country and abandons the project, or this resource that you need from this company, the company goes under, or, you know, you try to think about all the things that could happen that could put your project under, and then come up with basically contingency plans for if any of those things were to happen, or how would you deal with those. So it's part of the risk management process of doing project management. And I think for an organization preparing for a crisis, you almost go through a similar process of like, kind of like Jordan was saying, like at a Starbucks, what kind of crises could we expect to see? We deal with these types of chemicals, you know, whereas Nicole, in your position, you deal with different types of chemicals. So you'd have to prepare in a different way. So you're looking at your organization, what kind of crises could we have? Those potentialities are different. So I think that's a really useful tool to take from, you know, an interdisciplinary tool to take from project management and bring over to organizational management and say, hey, let's run a postmortem.
Yeah, I took this. I think very cool. The same class, yeah, where you basically go down and you look at everything, all the possible reasons of why your project, or in this case, what kind of crises I don't like struggling crises could have happened, and then you make like a list of it. So that's why I think like if your store or job has that booklet or whatever, the flip book is useful because like it looks at like everything that could have happened in your store. Maybe not like, mostly in that book is like natural disasters, but now I think a lot of it is also just like being experienced. So like now Nicole, if she ever has that same issue, now she knows what to do for the next time. So if that happens again in her office, they're probably going to go straight to her and be like, hey, you handled this last time. So now they have her as a point of contact because they know she's experienced that.
Yeah, and we're talking about the risk assessments and stuff too. It's kind of an interesting concept. Is I haven't taken the class on it, but because my fiance is actually a IT security analyst, I of course get to go and hear all about risk assessments and everything else. That he's kind of changed my mindset on a lot of things because it's his entire job. You know, and he does it for the government. And so you'll go and sit there and hear like some of these things or the general concepts of what he's doing. And I'm like, oh my God, there are so many factors to go and take into play for why someone would choose to do this, take the risk on a particular program or not, just by saying, is your password good enough? Or are they going to be meeting these other like, you know, minor like qualifications that you don't even go and think that are important enough to the, issue at hand.
Super interesting.
We have 1 minute left of our discussion. Anyone has anything else to say? Anybody? No. That was it. I mean, that's our 15 minutes. So unless there's any final thoughts, I think we're good.
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Alrighty. Well, have a good night, and everyone send their definitions by tomorrow. Talk to you all next time. All right.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. Okay. See ya.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.